Passover, they set a table for Elijah. They open a door waiting for him to come in and say, the groom is coming. It follows a Hebrew wedding, not a Western wedding. Totally different. What's interesting, in Revelation, it mentions a date with the moon at the foot of Virgo, crown of 12 stars, and it says the sun illuminates Virgo. That word sun in the Greek is not translated correctly. We don't have a Hebrew and an Aramaic version of Revelation. But there's Hebrews of Matthew, there's the rest of the book we can find either Aramaic or Hebrew version of it. So we can confirm, because Aramaic is 70 to 80% alike to Hebrew. Very similar. Okay? So, what I found in the past when it's been marked as sun, it actually says illuminated body. So we put illuminated body where the Greek has sun. The model shows that it's this planet that's illuminating Virgo. The tail is piercing Virgo. That's the sign in heaven. Meaning that's when he's coming for his bride. Mid of night, mid of week is the custom. Well, guess what? On March 26th, given on what Revelation is pointing to, you go in astronomy, it gives you March 26th. Exactly 3.5 to 4 days earlier than that is a full moon. Feast of Passover, where Elijah says the groom's coming mid of week, mid of night. After the feast, you fast for 3 days, like the book of Esther. She fasted for 3 days. Bingo. The groom comes. Remember the parable of the wise and foolish virgins?
Yes.
The difference between the wise and foolish is the wise have 2 portions of oil. A portion is supposed to last you throughout a whole night of 12 hours. The wise have 2 portions. Why? Because that day, because of the rotational delay, on the Jerusalem side, you have 24 hours of night, not 12. On our side of North America, we have 24 hours of daylight. Because Earth is, you get 12 hours of extra. Remember Joshua's long day. Okay? One half of the globe will have extra light, the other one have extra dark. So the wise have 2 portions of oil. And when does the Messiah come back for the mid of night? Not midnight, mid of night. So when they're trimming their wick and replenishing the oil, the foolish ran out. They have to go back to town. And as they relight their lamp, that's when he comes in. Says, come with me. The foolish missed it. They go in. He closes the door. If it's Petra, it doesn't matter where it's at. As he says, he brings us. Only thing you have to do is be there at the appointed time and place. The word Mekrah in many Bibles is translated as feast. That's not what the word means. The word means rehearsal or reenactment. A feast can be in a rehearsal or reenact, but it's not what the word means, rehearsal. If you were going to have a wedding and you're at the church waiting and the bride doesn't show up, are you married? Answer no. Her duty is to show up at the appointed time and place. That's her Mekrah. If you're fulfilling the Mekrah that's requiring us to be in Jerusalem already, each year, you're supposed to take half of your tithing that pays for your cost of plane, food, travel, hotel. Half of the tithing goes towards whatever's left over goes to the poor. Okay? Now, some people live close, some people live far away. And they're practicing a real Mekrah, just like they practiced Passover, and when it really happened, they knew who the Messiah was. It was happening in front of them. Passover is fulfilled. The feast of Passover has not been fulfilled. He's going to pick up right where he left off at. And this is basically an open book test that many is going to fail, because it says a remnant is only going to make it, which is a subset of the church, the body of the church. It's not the entire church. It's a subset, a small one. I estimate to be about maybe 2.5 million or so, about 2.3, which is because if you look at the 144,000, they only count the male as the head of the unit. Okay. So if they have a righteous children and wife, they're also there. So if you do the count,
but you're saying that they have to go to Israel? The remnant will be in Israel?
Not just in Israel, in Jerusalem on Mount Zion. We know where Mount Zion is now. It's not the Temple Mount. Jewish archaeologists have found the remnant of Solomon's temple. It's 600 feet south of the Temple Mount. That's the Roman fort. The Wailing Wall is actually the wall of the Roman fort.
That's right. I know. Is it supernaturally he's going to relocate most of the people, or how's that going to work?
He says he re-energizes in the Bible. What that may entail, I don't know, but on the third day you are re-energized. You fast and you whatever way that he wishes to get us there, but we got to meet him there. We don't need to know where he's bringing us, but he's bringing us somewhere on earth in the wilderness where it's a place of protection. My guess is Petra, but I don't need to know that really or say it because I'm not leaving because he's bringing us there. You know, bringing us somewhere. Because the reason why I say that is because Moses' brother, Aaron, is buried at the top of the mountain. The Israelites were there at one time. You can't have a body of an Israelite there without them being there.
True.
They were already trained carvers of carving images. If you look at the skill level of these facades, whatever you want to call these carvings of these, they're negative relief. They're carved into the mountain. If you make an error, you have no place to go. It's not like carving a column and lifting it with a crane and placing it in there. That's not what they did. They carved it out of the rock face as a negative relief. That takes the highest skill level of a mason. You can't tell me a herdsman herding sheep and goats picked up a chisel and carved that. That was trained craftsmen that did that from Egypt, probably. There were slaves carving the images of Pharaoh deeply into the stone. They're very skilled. So it may be that way.
I definitely think we're going to have supernatural protection, but
exactly. But you're not going to go on the ground waiting for them. The bride and the bridemaid, they're two different groups. The bride and the bridemaid, they're not the same group. The bride is only from Israelite tribes. The bridemaid is from any tribe, and there's more of them than the bride. Okay? If you multiply 3.5 times every male, that's the bride, in other words, a priest, you're looking at roughly about 500,000. I don't think the number 5 in the wise versions is random. I think it means 5 times the bride. Well, that roughly gives us about 2.3 to 2.5 million going into the place of hiding. That's about what the estimate of the actual exodus out of Egypt was. You think that's a coincidence?
No.
The stories in the Bible are not coincident. They're data points giving us the right data. Remember how he says, my people die of lack of knowledge?
Mm-hmm.
When we study these stories in the level of this amount of the science matching, you're getting the exact data you need to know what's going to happen and how not to be scared at the end times right here.
No, we can't live in fear. We just have to have faith. We'll be right back. Let's go Bru-särd after this. Welcome back to the True Traveler. Our guest tonight has been Gill Broussard. His YouTube channel is Planet 7X. You can go there and listen to more videos, that type of thing. To further delve into it, you'll also be able to see charts, that kind of thing. Gil, we're almost out of time. We just have a couple minutes left, and I have another question.
Sure.
When will, if you go back and you read the translations from the Chinese on the supernova of 1054 AD,
Yes.
they talked about being able to see this object. It was bright like Venus. Okay.
Yes.
When will we be able to see this planet 7X? If it's so close that next March it's going to cause problems. When will we be able to see this, and where should we look in the sky for it?
Well, for at the time period the Chinese saw it, they were in the winter months, so they could see it at a different angle. This next time around, it will be approaching us, and it'll be blocked by the sun when it's coming into our inner, on the inside of Earth's orbit, in other words.
Okay.
So we really won't have much of a viewpoint, except there'll be a few people that might better see it in the very early morning hours. But most of the world we're going to have a 40-day warning as Nineveh, because that's when it rounds the sun, and we clearly see it, and now it's coming at us, and we're moving forward, and it misses us by about 2 hours. It's coming ahead of us about 2 hours, according to the or an hour about, I think. I think it might pass a little bit closer this time. We may have a viewpoint of...
Like how many miles, how many miles are we talking here, Gil?
What's
closer than the
quarter of a
moon?
million miles between here and the moon, which is roughly, let me give you a scale that helps you out. You can put 30 Earth diameters between here and the moon. Okay?
Okay.
This object is 7 Earth diameters. You put it in the middle of that.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
All right.
All right?
It's going to go in between us and the moon.
Right.
Right. There's 30 Earth diameters. Because it's hard for people to picture a quarter of a million miles. Okay? So if you go with 30, that unit of measure, they can picture that.
Right.
Okay. So it's going to, at some point, it will definitely be close enough to see.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Because the Bibles are indicating, the stories in the Bible are indicating what we will see. Remember Joshua? They saw an object 50 times, from the viewpoint. I think our viewpoint would be closer to 60 to 80 because of the model tells me we may run in, if it goes half, it's going to plow into the moon. Because it's 4 days after Feast of Passover, which is a full moon. It would put the moon in the way of this normal path at 50%. So if it clears the moon, that means it has to come closer, which would also represent in the text that this time is the worst event of Earth's history. So it has a potential. The model doesn't disprove it not passing closer. Okay, as long as we're not at what's called as a Roche limit. The Roche limit, according to my calc, is what actually is the limit of gravity. That's where you put geocentric orbit, which is roughly for Earth, it's 1.5 times its radius. You get a satellite past that point, gravity can't pull it back. Well, if it can't pull back just a simple satellite, then how is the moon affecting us when it has 1/5 the gravity?
Right.
Okay? The math doesn't really work. It's electromagnetic in nature. The formula still works, what they're using on planetary motion, but it's not gravity. It's electromagnetic is causing the formula to work out. So it's just titled wrong. Okay? That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
And
so will that affect any of our stratosphere?
I would think so.
That I
Like
don't
the
know.
magnetosphere and the ionosphere?
Right.
All I know is that the plasma, it may or may not, that's beyond my skill level to tell you that. I have no idea.
Okay. All right.
All I know is
pretty
we need to seek the tilt, the point of the axis of tilt. That is the safest place.
Yeah.
And one is Jerusalem. The other one is the middle of the Pacific. I don't think you want to be there because of tidal waves. So there's only one point on Earth that's really the best that's around the Israel area.
Of course it is. Gill Broussard, we're out of...
Well, underneath the videos, they can download my book. It's free, and all of these graphs that are shown in the video.
Awesome. Go to Planet 7X at YouTube. Thank you, Gill Broussard, for being with us tonight. I really appreciate it.